Hello, I'm back. My coffee today in my new favorite mug. Gilmore Girls. I'm a big fan. I think I've mentioned that before. John and Sarah went on a studio tour, Universal Studios, and they chose me a mug as a gift when they returned. So that's what I'm drinking my coffee out of today. You guys, we just had the best family vacation, and I don't even know what to say other than I hope you enjoyed the video that I've included at the beginning. It was really just a fantastic trip. And other than, you know, the little bits and pieces of the personal side of what we did, you know, I think obviously you can tell the part that really floated my boat was that I got to meet some stitchers when I was down there. And, you know, it's always such an amazing thing that happens when what you think about someone in your head is actually true, you know? Like, and I think we all feel that way about friends in the online community that we've made and that we've gotten to know quite well just through online chatter. And, you know, there's always room for more friends, right? We're always meeting new people online, people who are either stitching the same piece or have nothing in common with the type or the style of work that we stitch, but we all really share that same passion for what we're doing. And so when you get to know someone online and you develop this picture of them, of who they are, when you meet them in real life and they're exactly who you thought they were, it's just the best thing in the entire world. And that's what happened. I met Elena and Olivia B as well. So I met the B sisters. I met Terry and I met Becky and I met Jen from Delicious Threads. And I made sure that I put all of their information when I posted their photographs in the opening intro. Go check them out, guys. They're amazing, amazing women. I had a visit to a local needlework shop in Almeida called Needle in a Haystack. And I bought some fabric, I bought some thread, a little bit of stash acquisition happened there. The owner of the store, Kathy, I met her. She was lovely, beautiful shop, really, really nice shop. And I believe that Pretty Southern has done a video tour of her shop, so you should check that out for sure. I know that they also sell they ship, so if there's something that you're looking for, you can call them. They have a fantastic selection of fabrics and threads. I was quite impressed and didn't have too much trouble choosing a few things to bring home with me as my vacation souvenirs, because I don't buy normal souvenirs. I choose what I want, you know, be it a yarn from a special yarn shop that I'm visiting, or, you know, something like this. I knew I was going to be visiting Needle in a Haystack. So I already had in my mind sort of what I was looking for and what I wanted to bring home with me. And it has proven, you know, when I use those things in the future, they always remind me of the trip and the vacation and the wonderful time that I had. So those B sisters. Now, I knew them, I mean, as well as you can know an online friend. I knew the B sisters quite well before I went. I had never really spoken with Jen, Becky, and Terry. However, and just, you know, the odd comment here and there online, but meeting them in person at Needle in a Haystack was just really fun. And I can tell why that group of girls gets along so well, because they're a lot of fun. So we started off, so I'm really only going to tell you about the day that involved the stitchers, because the rest of it is personal family vacation, and it was really interesting and it was really fun, but you really want to hear about the stitching. So we were staying in a very, very small little town called Port Costa, and it is about 45 minutes-ish from San Francisco. And I had already been in contact with Elena and Olivia, who knew I was coming in. And also, there was a possibility that I was going to get to meet Susan, Golden Stitcher, on Instagram. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. But be warned, Susan, I will be coming back. And I know that next time we'll for sure be able to get together. So we drove into San Francisco from Port Costa, and you know, we hit some traffic at the bridge, the Bay Bridge, and so we were a little bit late getting in, but we found the bakery, no problem. It is the coolest bakery. It is just, it's a really warm, inviting, fun place. And if you've watched Elena's videos, you know, and I know a lot of you do, and if you don't, you should be, because her and her sister, Olivia B, you guys are just, you're just like, in person, you're just like who you are in your videos. And it is just, it's so great. So we got into the bakery, and right away it was like meeting an old friend. You know, Elena came out, and my kids, you know, Sarah is so funny. She's always like, you know, Mom, they're not really your friends. You know them online, but they're not real friends. And so she was sort of razzing me the whole trip about how I was meeting these people that I really knew nothing about, and what if they were crazy and all of this stuff. So when she met Elena, who of course was super cool, then she quickly changed her tune when she saw, you know, the cool things that Elena made at the bakery and how delicious they were. We also met Elena and Olivia's father, Doug, who also is there at the bakery. And, you know, just the two of them make a great team. If you're ever in San Francisco, you must go to their bakery. So I had messaged her after her last video where she spoke about some chocolate molds for Easter bunnies that they make, you know, out of these traditional sort of vintage chocolate molds from the 40s and 50s. And there was one in particular that she mentioned about an Easter egg, a rabbit sitting on an Easter egg. And I'll let you go and watch her video to hear more about that. But I mentioned, you know, hey, I think I need one of those bunnies. And she had one waiting there for me. Doesn't that look delicious and funny? I think it's pretty great. But I had to show you their logo. So that's the Fillmore Bake Shop. And as you can tell, we all know who that is with the red lipstick. There's Elena, and there's Doug. There's her dad. So it was a great, great visit. So after my husband managed to get me out of the, you know, scent of cookies and all of these delicious things that Elena and her dad make, we drove to Almeida from San Francisco. So we went back over the bridge. We went to Almeida, and he dropped me off at the stitching shop. Now, the bakery held a little more allure for my family than the stitching shop did, because I'll be honest, they don't have any interest in visiting a stitching shop here, and they've had to do it enough times with me that they knew what that was all about. So there is, excuse me, an aircraft carrier, the USS Hornet, which is in Almeida, and so they went on a tour of that while I went to the stitching shop. So again, as soon as I walked in the door, as soon as you walk in the door of this LNS, the walls are just lined with thread, and you just wanna, as you walk in, your first thought is, it's, you know, color, and you can tell that, you know, that texture of a wall of floss, and you just want to run your hands along it. I didn't run my hands along it, but you know that feeling of that urge to just, you know, touch and pet and squeeze it. So, you know, great first impression to this shop. And so I walk in, and I poke my head around the corner, and there was Olivia. You know, like, there she is. I already know her. Big smile on her face, just, you know, cute as a button, and just so fun. And so then I went further into the shop, and I met Terry, and I met Becky. Now Becky, I had watched before, her channel, Obsessed Stitcher, I had watched her, and also then Jen showed up, and Jen, Delicious Threads also. Both great Flosstube, really, really fun to watch. And Jen has an Etsy shop. She's got some patterns up there now. She does needle minders as well. And there is a particular caffeine pattern on her Etsy shop that is going to be purchased by me in the next couple of days because it's coffee and I'm me. So anyways, there you go. So Olivia and I, we chatted for a little bit, and then Olivia said, oh, I have something for you. And then she pulled this out of her bag. It's an elf magnet. I mean, do they know me or what? Right? I know. So this has been on my fridge since I got home, and it just makes me smile. Not only because I love the movie and Elf, makes me happy, but it just reminds me of a great visit and a really great time. So we did some shopping. I think I put in 5 stitches into my whip, and we chatted, and then we all went out to lunch. We went out to I think it was called a Firehouse Subs. Correct me if I'm wrong, Olivia, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And Terry was my salad sister. We had salads. The other girls had subs. Great food. It was pretty quick. There was I know this is going to seem like a funny thing to talk about, but as a Canadian, this was a big deal. They had like a soda fountain type thing where, they give you the cup and you fill up your own drink. We have pop in Canada. Don't get me wrong, but we do not have the choice of pop that you have. And for someone who loves Diet Coke, I mean, I would take a bath in it if I could. I know it's not great for me to drink a lot of it, so I try not to drink a lot of it, but I love it. Love it. I think I've mentioned that before. So this soda fountain, or whatever you call it, pop dispenser, it had like 100 different choices of pop, and it was like touch button, and you could choose. So I wanted a Diet Coke, and I picked Diet Coke or Coke Zero or Coke Light or whatever it's called now. There's like 5 different kinds. And then another screen pops up with like 5 more choices of flavors that you can have, Coke, the cherry, the vanilla, whatever. So it was like, I practically stood there with my mouth open because we just don't have that here. That was pretty cool. So anyways, it was a really great visit. I had a fantastic time, a really fantastic time. And it was over far too quickly, really far too quickly. So, but that's the way life goes. There's always something good around the corner, and coming home and chatting with everybody on Instagram and, catching up with everybody on the Facebook group. It's been nice. It's been a good way to get back into things. I'm a little bit tired today. We didn't get a lot of sleep this weekend. It was a lot of traveling. We did not have a direct flight to get back, and so there was not a lot of sleep this weekend. So, but that's okay. That's what traveling is all about, and we'll all catch up this weekend. The kids were not happy about going back to school today. I can tell you that much. So, and my husband may have been a little bit mopey about going back to work. But what are you going to do? Okay, so I've told you about the trip, and I've told you about the fantastic stitchers that I got to hang out with. I guess what's next is I get to talk about my whips. So I took just 2 things with me, and one of them I actually didn't start until last night when I got home. I took some knitting, but I'm not going to share that with you today. I'm going to share that on the Fiber Friends podcast this week. So I took my Year in Chalk March design, May Luck Be Yours, but I didn't even touch it. So when I got home yesterday, I thought, okay, well, March is quickly more than halfway over. You better get a motor on, or else you're not going to get it done in time to be done by the end of the month. So I started it last night at about, I don't know, 9:45, and I posted on Facebook that I was going to be staying up late stitching last night because I was a little bit wired and I wasn't ready to go to bed. So I decided to do a little bit of stitching. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to get it started. So I popped it in my little 6-inch frame and I got a nice little start on it. So the part that's up here is, I've just started the luck banner. So not too bad. Actually, I'll put that there. That's better. Now you can see it. So a really decent start, very quick, and it's encouraging that it went quickly. It means that, and I was really quite enjoying it. So I'm just using white DMC, and the green is the called for Gentle Arts Avocado. Gentle Arts? Yes. Avocado. Gentle Arts. Now I had a really good question, actually. And I can't remember who asked, and it might have been Teresa who asked me about my needle minder. She wanted to know why I have my needle minder the wrong way around. And technically I do, because here today, this is, I've got McDreamy on as my needle minder for this project, and I keep this part inside the well. So the reason I do this, and I do flip it over occasionally because I don't always keep the magnet on my project. The reason I do this is because I like to use this part of the magnet more so than the other part when I'm using Q-snaps. And I'm sure this is just me and one of my, we all have our quirks. This is just something that I prefer. This side is a much stronger place to put your magnet. When I use Q-snaps, I stitch in the well. So I put my fabric on basically, not backwards, how would you describe it? So that inside is where I'm stitching and the back of my piece is flat. So it's a lot easier to sew in your ends. This keeps your fabric clean because the top of your fabric is tucked away underneath the Q-snap. And so, a lot of people do it the other way around, but I prefer this way. And I know lots of other stitchers do it this way as well. So because I trust this side of the magnet to keep my needle more securely than the button part of it, especially in a Q-snap, because when I put my project down, this is obviously going to hit or brush against whatever I put it against. And if I'm not careful and I pick up my project and I swipe it across something, it's very easy to lose your needle. And I'm really super paranoid about one of my kids stepping on a needle. So it's one of the things that I'm really careful about is losing my needle. So, because I also stitch in bed, so, double paranoia. So I like to make sure that my needle is safe and secure, because I also know myself and I don't often remember to remove my needle minder and sew in my needle, that I know for sure that my needle is not going anywhere. It's on the inside of the well, it's on the magnet that's the strongest. That's why. That was a really long-winded way to tell you why I put my needle minder backwards. Anyways, now you know. So, that's whip number 1. There. Ta-da. Started and will be finished before the end of the month. I promise. The other whip that I have been working on is the Eileen Gurak Needlework Designs, the hand blessings, finding a bird's nest. So, because it's been a busy couple of weeks and I knew we were traveling, I concentrated on small projects. And this is one that I would like to finish up in the next week or two. It's it really is not a lot of stitching. So surely that's a reasonable goal. And so here's mine. As you can see, I've started down the legs of the little boy. And I think the last time I showed it, this branch was done, because when I picked it up, I was halfway through the torso. And so, I know that's not a lot, but when you don't have a lot of time, any stitch counts, right? All stitches count. And so to finish the torso and to start working down the leg, really, there's not that much left. So let's just keep going, right? So I am using DMC 826. 826 is the color, just DMC, and I am using beeswax on the floss. It's a linen. It's one of those, it's a natural linen, so it's quite stiff. Again, I've talked about that before. This is 28 count. Look at that. See? When I don't take the tag off, when I can keep the tag on there, I can remember to tell you what the fabric is. Anyways, so progress is progress. But let's hope for a finish for next Monday's video, shall we? Okay, the last whip that I've been working on, I'm actually going to put in a picture of what it looked like when I started, because this was the one that I really just couldn't put down during my holiday. And so I'm going to insert a picture here of what it looked like when I started working on it. So as you can see, I really didn't have very much done. Here's a picture of what it's going to look like, again, just as a reminder. And I have another backwards needle minder here. And here's where I am so far. Is that showing up? Okay, there. Oh, I've got a big shadow there. It's hard to get the lighting right, you know, doing these amateur Flosstube videos. So hopefully you can see that. All right, that's a bit better there. It's hard to get the colors to show up properly. So I'm using, what are these? Weeks? Gentle Arts? Oh dear. I think I talked about it in my Friday Stitch With Me video, what they are. And it's gone completely out of my head what they are. Anyways, this is 1/1 on, I believe it's a 28 count. I think it's smaller than a 25 count, so I'm pretty sure it's 1/1 on 28. And I just love it. I love it. It's so dainty and delicate and pretty. So my goal before I put this away is to finish the Brethren Blue flower motif, so that all four, and also I've got, which you can tell, this was what I was working on the Stitch With Me video. I've got one more little stamen or petal to fill in here. I'll finish the blue around here, and then I'll probably tuck it away again for a while. It's a great travel piece. It's a great thing to tuck away and take in the car for a few minutes of stitching, so on and so forth. I don't really need a magnifier for it. I just need really good light. Because it's an even weave, it's quite easy to see as long as my light is good. So, great travel piece. So, that was, it's tiny, it's really tiny. So it's not as impressive as my really, really monstrous, you know, modern folk embroidery or the ABC Prairie Schooler cell. But I think it's pretty spectacular if you look at that stitching close up. So, I'm going with that. Anyways. So those are my whips. Thank you for your patience. Okay, that's it for whips. Now, I think I have a little bit of acquisition. I don't always share my acquisitions, but I've got some good ones this time, so I thought I would share. Now, there are some things that I purchased from Thread and I in the last couple of weeks that I'm going to save to share, because they are for my my high tea, my monthly high tea. And so I'm going to hold off and share those when the time comes. Speaking of Thread and I, some of you know this already, those of you who live in Ontario, if you're watching me after you checked your email this morning. Very sadly for us, and bittersweet for Kathy and Neil, they are retiring, and my local needlework shop, Thread and I, is closing. So, you know, it's bittersweet for me as well, because they've become really good friends over the last 17 years. And I can't imagine their shop not being there. I can't imagine just not being able to get into my car and stop at Tim Hortons and pick them up a coffee and drive to the shop and walk in and hearing that ding of the bell when I walk in and immediately, you know, being surrounded by those things that we love, the threads, the flosses, the shop models on the wall, the patterns and patterns and patterns, and my friends being there. And at the same time, they have worked really hard. And, you know, owning your own business, being self-employed is not for the faint of heart. And they are two of the hardest working people I know. And they deserve the most glorious retirement that life has to offer them. And I'm just so happy that they are now going to be able to find the time to stitch, that, you know, the last almost 20 years has not afforded them the amount of time to do the things in life that they really wanted to do, because they have just worked so hard at providing all of those services for us in the community. And it really is because of them that we have this really strong local community of stitchers who all know each other and, you know, are friends. And my group of friends that I have here in the city is 100% because of their shop. The people that I know, I never would have met them without knowing Kathy and Neil and having my local needlework shop. And so I completely 100% understand and respect their decision. But man, I am going to be buying a lot of stash in the next few weeks. You know, bolstering up the coffers here so that, I mean, let's face it, I already have enough stuff to probably see me for the next couple of years anyways. But, you know, I have things that I've been wanting to kit up. I know there are things that are going to be hard to find in Canada. So I've been, you know, weighing my options and thinking about things that I'd like to maybe ask if Kathy will consider ordering in for me over the next week. But I will probably most likely just purchase from stock that she already has, because they've already, it's an LNS. They've got a ton of stuff there. Anyways, so that's big news for me, and that's big news for me to share with you. So I'm not going to have an LNS anymore. Of course, I'm still going to have Kathy and Neil because I know them personally. So they can't, you know, run and hide from me. I will track them down and invite them to a stitching night at my house. So hopefully they'll come. Anyways, bittersweet, you guys. So anyways, how did I know I was going to talk about acquisitions, and then oh yes, my patterns, which then I wanted to talk about high tea, because a few of the patterns that I've purchased I'm not going to share with you today. Speaking of high tea, just a reminder, if you haven't watched February's high tea video yet, there is a giveaway at the end of that video. Just to share with you today what the giveaway is, it is an Evertote small wedge tote. And if you don't know what the heck a wedge tote is, that's just what we call this particular type of bag. And it has a boxed bottom, so you can see. And this one has a handle. This one has a strap. Some of the bags we do straps on and some of them we don't. Depends on what kind of a mood we're in. It's got polka dots on the inside. It's super cute. And inside here, I've just tucked the few extra things that I'm putting in the giveaway. So I have a Lizzie Kate pattern that's going to be going along with it. It's this one. It's one of the snippets. Be Silly. Be Silly? Yeah, Be Silly. Which is so cute. And the charm, this is a brand new pattern, so the charm is on the inside. I also have a couple of skeins of the, is it Bijou or Accent? I can't remember. Oh no, I'm wrong. Sulky. It's Sulky Metallics. And these were from Thread and I. So the pattern and the thread are part of that part of the giveaway are from Thread and I. So some sulky metallics, a little bit of bling, and the pattern, and then I'll tuck in a couple of tea bags as well because it's high tea, right? I won't send any scones in the mail, I promise. But January's winner, our very first high tea winner, received her package, I think 2 weeks ago, and it was really nice to see that she enjoyed it. So if you haven't watched it yet, it's February's high tea video, and I explain right on the video how to enter. It is an Instagram giveaway this time, and it is happening on my Evertote page. There is a particular photo there, a particular, what do you call it? You know what I mean. You know what I mean, right? It's a it's just a post. It's an Instagram post with the giveaway information on it. Jet lag, folks. Okay, so that's the giveaway. I'm getting to stash acquisition right now. Okay, so first of all, I got my XJU Designs Fabric of the Month. I'm in the 3-month primitive pastel mystery, you know, you get what you get. And so if you haven't seen yours yet, and I suspect that everyone has seen it because I received mine before we went away on vacation, I love it. I love it. Love, love, love it. So here's her card. So this is Judith's card, XJU Design. She's on Etsy. And it is, I chose the 40 count linen. That was my choice that I made for the fabric. So it's 40 count primitive, and this is February's. So it's a 40 count Newcastle linen, and the colorway is called Brown Sand. Oh my God, you guys, look at this. Can you even see it? Look at that. Look at that. It's just stunning. Stunning. There's the other side of that half. And it's a nice big piece. What is it, 19 by 27? 18 by 27. So that's what, a fat quarter? Pretty sure. Look at that. She's good, guys. She's really, really good. And it smells so good. I noticed that right away from the very first, from January's fabric. I don't know what she puts in it, what she washes it with, but it smells amazing. I love it. And it doesn't seem to fade too quickly either. It just smells so good, and it's so beautiful. I love it. So anyways, that was the first thing that I had to share. I have a few ideas of what I'm going to stitch on it. Patterns already in my stash. We'll see. Okay, so that was my XJU design, and as usual, she puts in a little freebie pattern. It was an Easter Bunny pattern this time, and a little skein of hand-dyed floss that she dyes. This is called Cafe Latte, and it's just a lovely, gentle, it really is like a cafe latte. It's very, very pretty. I think that you can see it. Anyways. Love it. It does say do not wash. So, not color fast, folks. Do not wash. As long as your hands are clean. I don't usually wash my project afterwards anyways. Okay, so that was my XJU design. I got one more thing in the mail that arrived while I was away. So I'm going to share that next. And I can't even, because holy cow. It's obscene. You're going to think I'm obscene. Mom, if you're watching this, just turn it off now so you don't know how crazy I am with this stuff, because it's okay. Mom, you can watch because you'll think it's pretty too. So I ordered some stuff I ordered some silk from Australia, from Silks For You. I know that most of you already know all about them because they've been around for a while. Wonderful, wonderful company. This is my first time purchasing from them, but I've only ever heard really good things about their silk and about their customer service. And I have to say their prices for silk, and the reason why I'm saying obscene, the amount of silk that you get for the price that you pay, I don't know how they do it, because I'm looking at, you'll see, it's crazy, crazy. Anyways, business card, silks for you, and they sent me the cutest needle minder. So there's the back, little needle minder, silks for you. All the way from Australia, I bought 3 hanks of silk, and it's called their premium silk. So it's a full hank of premium silk. I bought 3, and shipping from Australia was under $15 US. So all the way from Australia, I think that's pretty good. So, and you guys, these are my colors. These are my colors. Like when I unloaded these from the bag, I just about had a heart attack, because if there are 3 colors that are my colors, these are it. Okay, so this first one is, now there's no names, they're just numbers. So this is PR013. Look at that. That's all silk, you guys. Silk floss. I can't even. I can't even. It's gorgeous. Now I know it looks, you're going to think it looks similar to the blue for Modern Folk Embroidery, but it's not. And I can show you that blue because I have it right here. This is Zafra Cobalt. See? Totally different. Believe me, it's totally different. Okay, and remind me to tell you about the cobalt, because I had a very special other thing in my mailbox this week. So that is PR013, just the most beautiful blue. I then, because I wasn't sure, because I have projects in mind for these, big scale projects, but I wasn't sure that that was going to be the blue that would be right for what I had in mind. And the price, for that much silk, I thought I can afford to buy a second hank and have the first one not be absolutely right, because it's affordable. It's actually affordable for that much silk. I'm going to use it in something else, because blue is one of my absolute favorite colors. I knew I would use it. So now before I show this next one, I'm just going to say that Darling Bluebell is probably going to flip out, because I think this is her jam. Look at this color. It's like a royal electric blue, and it is stunning. It is just stunning. So the silk is very soft. I have not stitched with it yet because I only just opened the package last night, but I'm super impressed. I'm super overwhelmingly impressed with the price and the amount of silk thread that you get. So as I'm a knitter, I have a ball winder and a Swift. I think I'm going to cake these up into a yarn cake type thing, so that it stays, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Either that, or I think that's probably the best way to handle it. I put it into a cake. Just stunning. Okay, so that's 2. Now the third one is not blue. The third one is my favorite. And that was hard because the other 2 are amazing. But this third one is really, this is my color. Can you believe it? I mean, this color just makes me happy. Look at that. I'm just stunned with how pretty it is. Super, super pretty. Love it. Okay, so that's my silks for you acquisitions. Very happy. I'd highly recommend them. They don't know who I am. They don't care who I am. So that's me just being honest. Love their stuff. Great customer service. It was here really fast. And they even, I think I had overpaid a couple of bucks shipping. They refunded me whatever it was. And I never would have known. They just did it. And they did it without even saying anything. So I really, I appreciate that. Okay, are you still with me? All right. So when I was at Needle in a Haystack, I have mentioned already that I bought some floss and I bought some fabric. I'm not going to show you the floss because, well, it's Gentle Arts and it's Classic Colorworks, and they're all, you know, colors that I knew I needed for things like, well, here, Briar Rose. Now, that looks pretty similar to my silk that I just bought, don't you think? I must be drawn to this color. But I remembered that the tapestry, Ink Circles Tapestry, uses this, and I knew I didn't have enough. And they sell them in 10-yard skeins. Okay, and yeah, a couple of Classic Colorworks. So, you know, I don't need to show you all that. But I will show you quickly the fabric that I bought. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I have very distinct, I seem to know what I like, because this gray fabric, this piece of fabric that I bought is, you know, it's similar to the XJU design. Not really, this is a deeper gray, but I love gray. And I think if you love gray and you love browns, you should embrace that. It's not boring. It's not plain. Makes me pretty darn happy. So this is a piece of 40 count. What is that? Lakeside Linens, that's right. I had to think about that for a minute. Lakeside Linens, 40 count in the Wood Smoke colorway. And this is a piece that's almost 18 inches by 13 and a half. So I can fit a really nice size design on this because it's 40 count. And I really love the color. So, and this one I snuck out of Olivia's pile, because Olivia had this in her stack to possibly purchase, and I stole it from her. So, though I did wait for her to decide that she wasn't going to buy it first, and then I said, well, I'll buy it. So, Olivia and I have very similar taste in fabric. Good taste. Everybody thinks their own taste is good taste, right? It's your opinion. And like, you know, like I've said before, somebody else's opinion is different. It doesn't make them wrong. So, but I tell you, Olivia also purchased some of this as well. We both couldn't stop petting this particular linen, and we both went home with a really beautiful piece of it. And hopefully I'm not ruining her, you know, future video when she shows you the acquisitions that she got. But I'm tattling on you right now, Olivia, that you bought some of this too, so I'm not the only one. This is Picture This Plus. It's also a 40 count linen in the Storm colorway. Now, provided this is a big enough piece, and I think it is, I have to double check my measurements, but I intend, are you ready? I am going to stitch Winter Quakers on this. I know. I even have another piece of fabric coming in that was meant for Winter Quakers. It's the Dwarf fabric, which actually is the called for fabric, but I'm changing my mind. I'm still going to purchase the Dwarf fabric. It's the colorway is Dwarf. It's anyways, that sounded a bit funny. But I think, can you imagine Winter Quakers done on this piece of linen? Because I can, and it looks fabulous already in my mind. So, anyways, that's the plan. So this piece is 17.5 by 27. So, again, I purchased these from a Needle in a Haystack, and they did cut the fabric to a fat quarter that I wanted, and they serged the edges for me, which, you know, was pretty great. So not something I was expecting. Anyways, I'll fold that up later. Okay, so those are my acquisitions. And that was a lot. That was a lot, you guys. I don't normally, or if I do, I don't always share it. But we'll keep that between us. So that's it for me for whips and acquisitions. I didn't have any FOs today. So I'm just going to do a really quick little shop update and then I am done. I have a feeling this is going to be a very long video, which is going to take me a little while to edit and get it uploaded for tonight. But I've missed you guys. I've really missed you guys. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret because I know I put out a Stitch With Me video on Friday. And if you watched it, you may have noticed that my voice was just even a little bit quieter than it normally is. And there's a really good reason for that because I actually did record that on holiday. I recorded that on the Thursday, exactly when I said I did. And I was cooking chicken soup in the kitchen of the rental house. When we go on vacation, we rent homes through, there's there's lots of different rental websites that you can use. The particular one that we have had good luck with is called homeaway.com. Again, they have no idea who I am. So homeaway.com, and John is the one that does all of the legwork on this, on our vacations. And so he found the 3 different places that we stayed at. We rent a simple, small little home. Usually it's either something that's attached to someone else's home, that like a little casita that they rent out, or an in-law suite, something like that. We love to have a kitchen. We love to have, our own little bit of space rather than being in a hotel. It's just how we prefer to do things. I like to have a kitchen. And so I did roast a chicken the night before. That was our dinner, and I was making chicken soup the next day, and the family had left the house. They had gone out on a tour. They'd actually gone into San Francisco that day, into Golden Gate Park, and I had said, I would really like just a quiet day, and I wanted to record the video, I wanted to make soup, I wanted to sit and enjoy the view, and I wanted to stitch. So that's what I did. And so I recorded the video, but the little house where we were staying was the upper floor of a house. And so the owners of the house lived below. And I wasn't absolutely sure that they couldn't hear us. I mean, it wasn't uncomfortable and in any way, because the only time I ever heard them was, I think, once they used the microwave and I heard the beeping of a microwave. That was it. So, but I didn't know if they were just naturally really quiet people and we couldn't hear them. But I'm not really selling this very well, am I? It wasn't awkward at all. I'm trying to say that. But I also didn't want them to think that I was some crazy person sitting upstairs by myself talking to myself. So I kept the tone of my voice a slight level lower than I normally do. And so a couple of people have joked around and called me, the Bob Ross of stitching. And I think I was even a little more Bob Ross-ish last Friday's video. So I thought you might appreciate knowing that I actually was recording when I said I was, even though I was on vacation. So, but I am back now, and it's been really great to get back into this and chat with you today. So a little bit of a shop update. Once again, I had a little segue there. You can tell when I'm a little overtired. I get even chattier and I go off on a few more tangents than I should. So my shop update is a little funny today because I had this whole plan, and it was a really good plan. I knew I was going to meet Elena and Olivia. I didn't know at that time, I didn't know before we left that I was going to meet Terry, Jen, and Becky, or Kathy at Needle in a Haystack, because I knew where we were going, but I didn't know any of the people around there or who was going to be able to come. But I knew Elena and Olivia were going to be there. I also knew that I wanted to do something a little special for them because of the whole Stitchy Christmas bonanza that went on. And I was a recipient of Stitchy Christmas. And so I had this whole plan. I had gifts, and I worked hard on these gifts. Like I put thought into them. I made each girl a bag, and I even made a bag for Serge. who is Elena's boyfriend. I did not make Glenn a bag, who is Olivia's boyfriend, because I don't think he's a stitcher. But I know that Serge is a stitcher. So if you're a stitcher, I was going to make you a bag. And so I made these bags, and I chose the fabric based on each person. And I also had a little knit gnome. You may remember my Henry from my Christmas Vlogmas episodes. Well, I had twins for Henry, and I was going to give each girl a gnome because I know that, like me, they like gnomes. And I also had some Canada flag pins to give to them. And I also had a bag of Tim Hortons coffee that I was bringing. So fast forward, to the night before, I'm getting ready to meet the girls, and I can't find the bag that's got all of the gifts in it, except for the coffee. The coffee was put in our suitcase separately, but everything else was tucked away in a really nice, clean bag. Everything was flat, and it was on the very top of our suitcase, and it was gone. Gone. Like gone. I and my husband and my kids tore through the whole house looking everywhere we could think of, and the bag was nowhere. So we messaged the people of the owners of the last two houses that we'd stayed at, and it was nowhere to be found. It was a complete mix, because I know the bag was there. I have a memory of, we opened up the suitcase lid and their bag of gifts sat on the lid until we packed up the bag and left for the next place. And it was gone. It was literally gone. And no one knows where it is. No one has found it. No one has offered to say that they found it, and here it is. I trust the people the owners of the house where we stayed, but the bag is gone. I cannot find it. And I can't tell you how upset I was that Thursday night when I discovered that all I had to give the girls was a bag of coffee. Because we all know how much Stitchy Christmas meant to the entire stitching community. Even just, people on Instagram who got to see their amazing Christmas pictures. It was, I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. And at the same time, my husband had done a load of laundry that night, and he'd put my brand new shirt in the dryer. I have really long arms. I can't put shirts in the dryer. He'd put my brand new shirt in the dryer, and it was ruined. So it was like I was having a total Eeyore night. My presents were lost. My shirt was shrunk, and I had nothing to give the girls the next day. So it was a little bit grim that night, but then the next day dawned, and it was sunny, and I knew I was going to meet Stitchers that day. And if anyone would have a good laugh over what happened, it would be the Bee Sisters. So anyways, that is a really long-winded way to tell you what I had planned. So because I chose each fabric for the girls and for Serge, I wanted to actually make a line of bags in the shop because it's fun. And I am going to have an Elena bag, an Olivia bag, and a Serge bag, because I chose each of these fabrics for those people particularly. So I'm going to show you Olivia's fabric first. Because Olivia she loves primitive stitching. So this is Olivia B. She's on Instagram and Flosstube. Olivia B loves primitive designs. She likes more of the classic pieces. And so I chose, it's colorful for her because normally she doesn't go for really bright colors, but this struck me as very spring-like and very classic. So this is, and it's upside down there. And it was springy and it looked classy. And so Olivia, this is your fabric. And I'm pairing it with a mustard. Look, I even have it. I have cut another couple of bags ready to go. This is going to be the accent fabric. Olivia, this is the accent fabric on your bag. Because don't worry, you're still getting a bag. It's just going to be a little bit later than it was supposed to be. So there will be eventually a few of Olivia's bags up in the shop. Next is Serge's bag. Now Serge, he's a, I thought this suited him because I know he likes to stitch more masculine pieces and pieces like Deus de la Muerte, the Day of the Dead, things like that. Or maybe that's just Elena that likes to stitch those. I don't know. But this struck me as a sort of, cool dude kind of fabric. So Serge, you get the skull and crossbones. And I think this is super cool. So your bag, Serge, is going to have a black twill on the bottom. And it's just as cool as you are for stitching because your girlfriend is a stitcher, which I love. So Serge, that's your bag. And Elena, this is your fabric because you're a baker. So I am pairing this, and I have some here with a soft pink twill accent fabric. I love it. I love this one. It's beautiful. I know it's not as bright as you normally like, so it's kind of funny that I chose something a little more in a classic color and Olivia gets the brighter colors. So, but you girls are sisters, so once in a while it's okay to step out of your comfort zone. So you get the cakes and the tea time items on your bag. So those are your bags, and I had the best of intentions to hand you your bag of gifts. And watch your mailbox because, within the next month, there should be a rather good surprise in it for you, except it won't really be a surprise if you watch this episode. You'll know what's coming. Maybe I'll tuck in some more Tim Hortons too if you're lucky. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. This episode is going to be really, really long, so I better get to uploading it and getting on with the rest of my day because I've got some sewing to do. I've got some bags to put up in the shop. Have a great week, guys. I will see you tomorrow for the very first knitting tutorial for our hat. If you're going to be joining Gerald and learning how to knit a hat, tomorrow I'm going to be teaching everybody how to join in the round. And I have my yarn picked out for my hat. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. So this is going to be the yarn I'm using for my hat. So watch for the first video tomorrow. I probably won't have it up until late afternoon. I have spoken to Louise about getting the hat pattern up on Ravelry. It should be there today. I will post a link to the hat pattern in this video. If you don't see a link there yet, it's because it's not quite ready to go. So keep checking back. It should be there by tomorrow for sure. And we're going to learn how to knit a hat. So I'll see all of the new knitters tomorrow, and I'll see the Stitch With Me people on Friday. You can find me on Instagram at Off the Grid Needlearts. You can find the shop page at Evertotes. You can find the blog at www.offthegridneedlearts.com. And I just want to once again say thank you. Thank you, thank you for subscribing, for liking the videos, for, watching the ads at the beginning, for just your great, amazing comments that you guys send me all the time. I think I've answered everybody's questions. The last 10 days have been a little tricky. Sometimes our internet was spotty. If I've missed anything, if you've asked me a question and you have not heard back from me by now, and it was something that you were really curious about knowing or you really needed to hear back from me, send me another message, please. And I apologize if I've missed anybody or anything. But thank you. Thank you again. And I'll see you later. Have a great week. Happy stitching.